Australian Open Day 4 women's predictions including Coco Gauff versus Olga Danilovic. The second round of the Australian Open kicks off on Day 4 as 64 women remain in the first Grand Slam draw of 2026. Some of the best in the world will be in action on Day 4, including American star Coco Gauff squaring off against Olga Danilovic. Elsewhere around the grounds, we offer predictions for Emma Raducanu versus Anastasia Potapova, Mira Andreeva versus Maria Sakkari, and Aryna Sabalenka versus Zhuoxuan Bai. Ilimona Waniku, Zain Mustafa, and Jordan Reynolds provide their insights. But who will advance? Australian Open Day 4 women's predictions: Iva Jovic versus Priscilla Hahn. Ilimona Jovic came through her opening match showing maturity beyond her years, managing momentum swings impressively. Hahn worked hard to advance but looked vulnerable when rallies extended. Prediction: Jovic in 2. Zain short on match wins and in front of a home crowd. Priscilla Hahn had a come-from-behind win in her first round, something that should give her confidence. But Iva Jovic is currently playing the better tennis and should be able to dictate the match with her forehand to cruise to a win. Prediction: Jovic in 2. Jordan Jovic continued the momentum from her run to the Hobart International Final in the previous round against Katie Volanets. Hahn, who strikes the ball much harder than Volanets, presents a different challenge, and Jovic will need to defend more. The young star is capable of doing that, and I think she will overcome this tough task. Prediction: Jovic in 3. Veronika Kudermetova versus Clara Tauson. Ilimona Kudermetova's first round was about efficiency, winning most of the key points without overplaying. Tauson showed flashes of power, but inconsistency under pressure remains an issue against steady baseline resistance. Prediction: Kudermetova in 3. Zain, this is a matchup between two power baseliners, so a lot of winners and very few long rallies should be expected. While that means either player can win, I think this playstyle will favor Clara Tauson more than Paulina Kudermetova, as she is the slightly bigger hitter and the better server here. Prediction: Tauson in 3. Jordan Kudermetova will find it hard to be as aggressive as normal against one of the WTA's biggest hitters. Defending and digging in does not suit her, and I doubt she will withstand the Dane's ground strokes. Only a poor performance from Tauson could cause an upset. Prediction: Tauson in 2. Karolina Muchova versus Alicia Parks. Ilimona Muchova eased into the tournament with a composed opening win, mixing variation and defense well. Parks hit through her first-round opponent, but Muchova's ability to absorb and redirect pace should blunt that weapon. Prediction: Muchova in 2. Zain. Alicia Parks did exceptionally well to come back from a bagel first set against Alexandra Ila and a passionate crowd to reach this round. Still, Karolina Muchova is the better player and should have more than enough weapons in her arsenal to reach the third round. Prediction: Muchova in 2. Jordan Parks showed outstanding courage to fight back from losing the opening set 0-6 against Alexandra Ila, beating the Filipina and a very noisy crowd. Muchova's variety seems like a bad matchup for the American on paper, but she beat the Czech at the 2025 French Open. In Muchova's defense, that was her first match in 2 months because of an injury. I feel she will play better here to prevail. Prediction: Muchova in 2. Ilimona Gauff's first-round performance was clean and assertive, especially on return where she consistently applied pressure. Danilovic struck the ball well in her opener, but if forced to defend repeatedly, the balance swings toward Gauff. Prediction: Gauff in 2. Zain. Coco Gauff had a comfortable first-round match in which she didn't really do much exceptionally but still won comfortably, showcasing just how dangerous she can be. Olga Danilovic did well to outlast Venus Williams in the third set of her match, but against Gauff, she likely does not have another Houdini act left. Prediction: Gauff in 2. Jordan Danilovic will want Gauff to have one of her poor serving days, since the Serbian can be very dangerous on second serve return. More positively for the American, her backhand is better placed than any in women's tennis to counter Danilovic's massive cross-court forehand. Even if Gauff serves badly, it will be hard for Danilovic to win against an opponent who can neutralize her biggest weapon. Prediction: Gauff in 2. Tennis Australian Open 2026, Day 4 women's predictions: sun-drenched courts, early upsets and a showdown of grit versus elegance. The sun has been rising over Melbourne Park with relentless energy, illuminating not just the courts but the high hopes, raw nerves, and electric possibilities of the 2026 Australian Open. As the second round begins on day 4, the women's draw is whittled down to the players with belief, form, and sometimes sheer willpower. Today promises a blend of expected steely favorites and compelling underdog stories, but all eyes, for many fans and pundits alike, are drawn toward one intriguing matchup. Coco Gauff versus Olga Danilovic, a clash of styles, confidence, and momentum. Glowing star the big picture, women's draw on day 4. As the tournament moves out of the first round's unpredictability and into more structured second-round action, the women's side features a fascinating mix of veterans, rising stars, and youthful insurgents. From Aryna Sabalenka battling to justify her top seed to daring underdogs looking for their breakout moment, day 4 is where narratives begin to really take shape. Key themes for today: power baseliners versus steady strategists. Expect heavy hitting but also creative defense. Youthful fearlessness. A new generation eager to make its mark. Veteran resilience. Experience can grind out points when pressure builds. But among all this, the Gauff-Danilovic match has the potential to be one of the most watched and talked about, and not just for the result, but for how it might unfold. Direct hit matchup preview. Coco Gauff versus Olga Danilovic players spotlight. Coco Gauff, the American powerhouse. Coco Gauff arrives in Melbourne with a mixture of promise and a little frustration. She began her 2026 campaign with a solid win in the opening round, advancing comfortably past Kamila Rakimova 6-2, 6-3, despite some noticeable serving woes early on. At just 21 years old, Gauff already has 2 Grand Slam titles to her name and a reputation for grit, athletic defense, and furious baseline aggression. Her return game is especially potent, a weapon that constantly puts pressure on opponents' serves, turning defense into sudden offense with remarkable consistency. Why Gauff is a favorite? Strong baseline game that forces errors. Excellent return statistics in majors. A top-ranked player, world number 3, expected to make deep runs. Yet Gauff isn't a perfect machine. Her serve has been a little patchy, and 7 double faults in her opener showed that even the top players can struggle with rhythm under pressure. But the underpinning resilience, her ability to shake off mistakes and grind point after point, makes her a formidable challenger. Player in form, Olga Danilovic, the Serbian dark horse. For Olga Danilovic, day 4 is more than just early round survival, it's proof of momentum. The 24-year-old Serbian made headlines by staging a dramatic comeback against tennis legend Venus Williams in the first round, overturning a 0-4 deficit in the deciding set to secure an emotional victory.